Um, anyway, this movie is really cool. And how did you get involved with it? And what made you think, well, hey, I want to play a retired rock star who raises horses, and you're kind of the
Well,
spiritual
to be
lead.
honest with you, the reason why I did is because I was offered the part. So anytime that you're in show business and actually give you an offer, it's a big deal because it means you don't have to audition. It means you don't have to vie for the position. You just have it. So whenever something like that comes up, you got to give it a serious look. And did I ever dream of playing, like you said, a retired rock star who's now opening a horse breeding farm with three daughters that are in the music business that you want to protect and advise? No. But once we started started filming it, and I started getting into the character, I had a really great experience with this sort of a dramatic part, which is something I hadn't really done a lot of before.
Well, you seem like a natural. I mean, it did not. You seem really calm and steady, and your advice and your guidance to them in the movie was measured. I
Well,
mean,
I mean,
your part was very important.
it's one of those things where I have daughters, so I was able to kind of internalize my daughter's on-screen you know troubles and situations with my own daughters, troubles and situations. So it worked out great. And of course, obviously, being on the road, Bones was on the road a lot, which I've experienced too, and being in a rock and roll band and all those sort of things. So in a lot of ways, there's a lot of Bones and Chris Jericho, and a lot of Chris Jericho and Bones. So it wasn't that hard of a stretch to play this character.
And there's this one was really good, and I noticed the way it ended, that it leaves a door open for others, and I see that there's going to be a sequel at Christmas.
Yeah, we've already filmed it. We kind of one of those things where we film two movies at the same time. Up TV is the type of channel, like the Hallmark channel, like Lifetime channel. They do a lot of Christmas movies. So it was a no brainer that we do Country Hearts, then follow up with Country Hearts Christmas. So yeah, it was a really kind of a cool story that was written, and I really enjoyed the whole experience. Like I said, and I really liked the movie. It's one of those things where I never would have really thought about playing this type of a role, in this type of a medium, but it was a real blast.
How long did it take to film, and what was the filming like?
I think it took probably the better part of a month to film them both. We filmed them in kind of two chunks, and filmed it up in Canada. So it was I've done quite a few movies now at this point, and this was a really well organized shoot, and it was a lot of great professional actors involved in it, and I think we banged it out and did a pretty damn good job. So it's entertaining, it's fun, it's heartwarming, it's everything you would expect from an up TV movie.
Right. It seems like it's good, and it also could possibly, if depending on how popular it gets, could lay the groundwork for a series. Would you be up for something like that?
Yeah, I know there's been some kind of initial talks about that option, and absolutely. I mean, like I said, once I started playing this part, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of depth to Bones and a lot of depth to what we did with Country Hearts. So if it does well and they decide to take in that direction, I'll be up for it and ready to strap on the Bones boots again and get rolling.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
Chris, Chris, you wear so many hats, and you have your hands in so many different things, and I would imagine you probably just don't like to be bored, and like to cover all your bases. But if you had somebody who said, you know what, you got to choose one and you got to go with it, what would be, your priority? What would you say? Okay, well, like in the movie, they have a
The,
choice.
the best part is I don't have to choose. I mean, my whole
Right?
career since I was a teenager was built around wrestling and being in a rock and roll band. And now that I've been able to do both at very high levels, I never have to choose. I kind of made my choice when I decided to try and do both of them. And when they both worked out, suddenly you're in the catbird seat. So um, both still bring me great, immense fulfillment from a creative standpoint, and from an accomplishment standpoint. So there's really no reason to step back and say it's time to go one way or the other. I think I kind of
Right.
just go with the flow, and whichever way the river flows is the way that I go. And right now we're still doing both, like I said, and doing both at very high levels, and that's the way I want to continue to do it.
And that's you kind of do a little bit of what I do too. You have a podcast as well. What made you uh want to get involved in that and kind of be the interviewer and have conversations like we're having?
Well, I'm a journalist by trade. I mean, I went to college for journalism way back, in the late '80s, early '90s, and I started Talk as Jericho 10 years ago. We just had our 1,000th episode a few months ago, and
Wow.
it was kind of a pioneer in the genre because at the time there wasn't a lot of podcasts. Now there is a lot of podcasts. So yeah, I mean, it's not easy to be a host, and I know what it's like because I've done thousands of interviews. So I kind of know what I like in an interviewer, and how I think how I run my show is kind of one of the reasons why people enjoy doing it, because we just have fun and it's a conversation. There's no real questions written down. You just chat, see where the conversation takes you, and that's always most interesting for me.
Getting back to your character in the show, he's the voice of reason. Like I said, he's the one who's been there and is able to dispense knowledge. Uh, my outlet comes mostly from a family and faith perspective, and so I just wondered how much of you is in the character as far as how you believe and what you're able, the importance, maybe even the importance of prayer and things like that.
Oh, I've always had that influence, in my life, and it started way back in the '80s when I really got into Christian heavy metal, and really kind of followed the teachings and the lessons. And obviously, I'm not 1,000% perfect. I don't claim to be, but at the end of the day, it's always great to know, who the boss is, and take that very, very seriously. So I still pray before my matches. I still pray before the Fozzy gigs that we do. Just gives you a little bit extra energy and a little bit extra confidence in what you're doing, and a little bit of a backup, shall we say.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's just an honor to talk to you, and I appreciate what you're doing and hope this does really well, and would love to see more of these movies in the future.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Have a great show.
Thanks, dude. Bye.